You ever scroll through Instagram and see those silky smooth waterfalls? Seriously, how are these people pulling this off? That's what we're diving into today. This is your complete guide to mastering long exposure photography, and we're doing it the way I actually shoot it, step by step, using the Nikon Z system. And trust me, once you get the hang of this, you'll never look at moving water, night skies, or traffic the same way again. Hi, Joe here from Shutter Speak Photography. It's very nice to see your smiling face again here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, I've photographed the National Hockey League, major concerts in New York City, pop culture events, weddings, families, and real estate. My work's been published in newspapers, magazines, and even on a concert t-shirt. So yes, my photos have been worn on stage. Also, if you've ever struggled with low light shooting or just want a quick reference cheat sheet for night photography, I've got something for you. I put together a free Nikon Z low light guide. It's packed with real world settings for handheld shots, city scenes, and tripod work. Totally free. You can download it using the link in the description. Toss it in your camera bag or keep it on your phone and you're good to go. Now, let's talk about long exposures. Because when you get it right, it feels like photography's superpowers. Long exposure photography is all about stretching time. It's basically time travel for photographers, just without the starship or the need to reverse the polarity of anything. You're letting the shutter stay open long enough to record motion, not freeze it. Water turns silky. Clouds streak across the sky. Car lights flow through the frame like ribbons. And once you start shooting this way, it becomes addictive. First things first, if you're doing this handheld, forget it. You need a sturdy tripod. The camera has to stay perfectly still, especially when the shutter is open for several seconds or even minutes. Even pressing the shutter button can introduce just enough shake to ruin the shot. That's why I use a remote shutter release, or at the very least, the built-in 2-second timer. Now we set the camera to manual mode. ISO should be as low as possible, typically ISO 64 or 100. That gives you the cleanest image. For aperture, I'll use something like f8 to f11 when I want deep depth of field for cityscapes or landscapes. But if I'm working in really low light or doing astrophotography, I'll open up to f2.8 or even wider. The real magic though is in the shutter speed. That's what gives you the smooth water, the dreamy clouds, the light trails. For waterfalls, I'll often start around 2 to 5 seconds. For city lights and traffic, maybe 10 to 20 seconds. If I'm going for star trails or really dramatic movements in the sky, I'll go for 30 seconds or longer. Sometimes using the extended shutter speed settings or bulb mode so I can control the exposure manually. But here's the thing, shooting in low light comes with a different kind of challenge. Sometimes you can't even see what you're shooting. That's when I turn on something called Maximum Aperture Live View. This brightens up the screen by temporarily opening the lens to its widest aperture, which makes it much easier to compose your shot in the dark. It doesn't affect the final image, it just helps you see. If you're using a newer camera like the ZR, Z5 II, Z8, Z9, ZF, C6 III, or the Z52, you've got another tool called Starlight View. That boosts your display brightness even more. It's like flipping on night vision. Suddenly, you can see and compose your frame even when the scene is barely visible to the naked eye. Just make sure to turn it off before you actually take the shot, because it can mess with your exposure if you rely on how bright the screen looks. If your camera doesn't support Starlight View, that's where low light AF comes in. On models like the Z5, Z6, Z7, and the Z6 II and Z7 II versions, this setting allows the camera to focus in much darker scenes than usual. It's a real help when you're trying to lock focus on distant buildings, lights, or anything with contrast. And if the camera still won't lock focus, which definitely happens, I just switch to manual. I zoom in the live view on a bright edge like a window frame or a light post and focus by hand. It's not the fastest method, but it's accurate, and once it's locked, you're good to go. One setting a lot of folks forget is VR, vibration reduction. You want to turn that off when the camera's on a tripod. It sounds backwards, but VR can actually introduce blur when the camera is perfectly still because it's trying to correct for movement that isn't there. So tripod on, VR off. Simple. Now, if you're shooting in daylight or bright twilight and you want that longer shutter speed, you'll need an ND filter. Think of it like sunglasses for your lens. It blocks out light so you can keep the shutter open longer without overexposing the image. I usually carry a 6-stop and a 10-stop ND filter. That gives me plenty of flexibility depending on how bright the scene is and how long I want my exposure. Personally, I really like the KF Concept ND filters. They hit a sweet spot with good optical quality and a fair price, and they've held up well in real-world shooting conditions. They're also magnetic, so they snap on and off quickly. When I'm setting up a long exposure, I go through a simple flow in my head. Is the tripod solid? Is VR off? Do I have my ISO set to 64? Is my aperture giving me the depth of field I want? Have I picked a shutter speed that gives me the effect I'm after, whether it's smooth water, light trails, or stars? Have I focused correctly? Is the ND filter on if I'm in daylight? Is my timer or remote ready? And once that's all in place, I check the histogram. Always the histogram. The screen can lie, especially at night, but the histogram tells the truth. And if I'm going beyond 30 seconds, I may turn on long exposure noise reduction. The camera takes a second dark frame after your main shot and uses it to cancel out hot pixels and reduce noise. Yes, it doubles the wait time, but it's absolutely worth it for cleaner results. This setting works on both JPEG and RAW photos and will work on any shot longer than 1 second when activated. Once the setup is done, that's when the fun really starts. I'll take one shot at 5 seconds, then I'll try 10, then 20. Each one changes the look of the scene. Clouds get longer, lights stretch farther. The mood completely shifts depending on the exposure length. That's the beauty of it. You're not just capturing light, you're capturing time. Nikon Z system makes low light and long exposures incredibly rewarding. These cameras take the hassle out of low light shooting, from helping you see what you're doing to locking accurate focus to delivering clean, detailed results. It's one of the most fun and creatively rewarding ways to shoot. If you found this helpful, give it a like, subscribe for more gear reviews and shooting guides, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know, what's the first long exposure scene you're planning to shoot? Waterfalls? City lights? Astro? Let me know. Also, if you haven't yet, come hang out in my Nikon Z Facebook group. Links in the description. Great community, tons of shared tips, and always someone ready to help. Thanks so much for watching. I truly appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, may your shutter speeds be long, your images noise-free, and your tripod never be bumped by a rogue droid.